You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Pat are going to break down the Chicago Bulls win over the Philadelphia 76ers. Zach LaVine also may return to practice as early as next week, according to Billy Donovan. And OG Annunoby was traded to the New York Knicks. We're going to talk about how that deal could affect the Zach LaVine trade market and the Eastern Conference. We're going to get into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use code all lowercase LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat, the Bulls get the win over the Philadelphia 76ers today. This was a game where the Bulls just didn't put the Philadelphia 76ers away. They had some opportunities at times in this game. They were playing really good defense, wasn't really running an offense early in the game that I think affected some of that. But overall, they got the win, 105-92. DeMar DeRozan leading the way, scoring with 24 points. Kobe White with 20 points, going 7-15. He hit 1 3-pointer in this game. But every starter in double digits. And then we got 19 points total off the bench today. How you feeling about this game, Pat?
It felt like we had control the entire time, right? Like it was weird, right?
The whole way. We never trailed in this game.
We never put the Sixers away, but it also never felt like they were doing good enough to gain a lead on the Chicago Bulls, and that was something that really surprised me. I mean, listen, no Joel Embiid makes a very big difference, right? Paul Reed is definitely nothing to write home about at the center position as a starter. I think it's still insane to me that they traded away Andre Drummond and were like, Paul Reed is next up out here, baby. But I think at the end of the day, when I looked at this game, I was encouraged by the team that we had on the floor. Because remember, it's not like we're not without our starting center as well. And I know a lot of people look at Andre Drummond, and say, well, yeah, but he's still a starting center. He's really a sound piece. And yes, he is, but he's also a piece that, again, puts you in foul trouble, puts you in a position where you can't have him in for long periods in certain quarters that maybe Billy Donovan expected him to be in. I want to commend some of the minutes that we got out of Terry Taylor today. He played 17 minutes. I thought he did a really, really good job on both ends with what he was given. I also think that this is a team that without Joel Embiid, you kind of can get away with some of those things, right? Where it's like, if Embiid's in this game, it's a very different scenario, especially with what we know with Drummond, bro, because it's real estate in Andre Drummond head for Joel Embiid, bro. Like, Drummond had to get to the point where he was like, yeah, he's up there. I'll tell you that right now. But I mean, like, it was really good to see, and I thought that this was another game again where it just feels like everybody got involved in it, and really the player that stood out for me, the player that I want to commend the most, and not a crazy game, but I thought some very timely shots. I thought yet again the ability to affect the rebounding battle as well. And at this point, to me, it's not to be denied that Kobe White is just a real leader of this team, doing what he did today, playing through the wrist injury, which everybody could clearly see his tape. It's clearly affecting him. It's clearly affecting the shot. Teams are playing him different. He's finding a way to get to the bucket. Thought he made some really tough buckets tonight. And I thought he was a big reason why the Chicago Bulls were able to pull this one out. And then outside of that, I mean, listen, DeMar DeRozan is just, I keep saying this, he's a Stephen Curry of mid-range shooters. Tonight was a night where it was on full display, bro. Like Tobias Harris.
That's a great way to word that. The Steph Curry of mid-range shooters. It's actually that's a great way to word that.
He really is, bro, because it's just like, how do you stop him? They had literally 7-footers standing in front of him, and he turned around. He's in his spot. He pulls it up exactly the same, finds a way to get it over the hand and knock down the shot. To me, I really, really love the way that DeMar DeRozan is able to attack in the mid-range game. We were having this debate while we were watching the game, and it was just like, listen, you have to, no matter how you feel about the future of DeMar here, you have to admit he's probably top 5 among mid-range shooters all time. He's probably top 3 among just the guards.
Probably. I mean, he has to be. Like, DeMar DeRozan's mid-range game is elite. At a time where players are moving away from the mid-range and just becomes about at the rim and three-point shooting, DeMar, and he's still effective. And here's the thing. I won't be surprised if there is a swing back to mid-range game. Or because teams at some point, they're going to be players that are like, hey, I realize everybody's guarding this three-point line of the rim. There's this whole area of the court where if I can get to my spot there, which Patrick Williams is starting to do as well. We got to start giving some love for. Hey, by the way, did you see that he dunked with his left hand today?
Hey,
it's like he heard you.
He definitely did, bro. He definitely did. And he did a little in and out to get to it. And
yeah, bro. Like Pat's starting to understand how to get to the spots. But the thing that I was most encouraged with about this game too was when Drum was in foul trouble. He had to go to the bench. I understand everybody wants to see Adama Sanogo. I want to see Adama Sanogo. But Terry Taylor gave us some really good minutes today.
He played well.
Really good minutes.
And I'll say this was a game for me more where I would have wanted to see Sanogo, right? Because you got Paul Reed out there. When you get past Paul Reed, I mean, Mo Bamba, I mean, by the way, are we all off Mo Bamba? Like, the best thing about him is the song, right? Yeah, like, are we all kind of done with the whole Mo Bamba thing? For me, I'm out on it. I thought Marcus Morris, it just felt like a game where I could have seen Sanogo in on this one. But I can't say that Terry Taylor didn't do well. A host of Locked On Pacers, Tony East, dubbed him right after we got him. I texted him, said, "What's to this guy, Terry Taylor?" And he says, "He's the best undersized rebounder I've seen. He's going to fight. He's going to give you a lot of hard work. Going to give you his all anytime he's on the court. And if he actually gets NBA minutes, I think he'll be a pretty good player." And it seems like, right, the more that they continue to go to Terry Taylor, he's done some of those things just like that.
Yeah, Terry Taylor he's changed a lot of Bulls fans. I had people in my live that were just like, "Oh, we're gonna play him again," and then by the halftime, like, "Hey, Terry Taylor isn't all that bad." And I get why wanting to see Adama. Like, he should be part of your future, right? Like, you brought him here. He's playing well so far in the G League at the competition you've placed in front of him. He's excelled there. But at the end of the day, Terry Taylor, and we know how Billy Donovan is. Terry Taylor is somebody who's done it before. He's been here for a while. There's tape on him. So Billy Donovan's going to trust him. As long as Terry Taylor's playing well, he's going to keep earning the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it is. You hit the nail on the head there. Billy's not going to play these young guys that are the G League guys, right? Everybody's looking for Adama Sanogo, the Uno Bidhams. These guys aren't going to get I thought Bidham would get a ton of time, but he has not shot the ball nearly as well as I thought he was going to coming over to America. Mm-hmm. And that means that he's not going to get that time on the floor. But to me, like, you look at a game like tonight, I would have loved to see it, but I also like to see the development, right? Like, seeing the development of Adama Sanogo doesn't mean I don't want to see the development of Terry Taylor. And I think that seeing him get more minutes, Billy Donovan sticking with him kind of getting used to his role in the rotation as well, you're starting to see him kind of play out. And listen, this is just for the time that Vooch is out, right? Guess what? You know what Terry Taylor is going to be as soon as Vooch comes back? At the end of the bench. So I'm not losing my mind over this as well. It's good to see him get these minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he has a certain role right now. What he needs to do, playing with energy, is a big part of that. Having your head up on defense, rebounding shots, that's a big part of it. And he's doing that role pretty darn well. I mean, and listen, I saw some athletic moves from him. I didn't know Terry Taylor had a little athleticism to his game. I guess if you're gonna be 6'5" playing center, you need to have a little bit of that too. So,
bro, when he did that backdoor cut, and did the up and under lay, I was like, "Oh, hold on, where you get that one from? I didn't know you had that in the bag."
Yeah. Yeah, hey, I mean, shout out. Like, listen, we've seen it before. People do things with opportunities, but like you said, once Vooch is back, he's right back to the end of the bench. Yeah. That's it. He's right back to the end. Of the bench.
Him, and once Torrey Craig is back, well, Torrey Craig probably won't be back
Torrey Craig, we're talking about maybe a couple of weeks before playoffs at that point.
Yeah, he probably not going to be back unless the playoffs crack. Maybe Dalen Terry will stay in the lineup. Let me ask you this though. We've seen the good and the bad of Ayo Dosunmu, but it still felt like Ayo Dosunmu made somewhat of an impact in this game tonight. Is he just a bench guy now? Like this is where he's going to be forever.
Yeah. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some games where Ayo does have the 20-point performances off the bench and things like that. You're absolutely going to get that. But I think what we're seeing right now is that Ayo Dosunmu is a bench player, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think he can be a high-level bench player when it's all said and done. But that is right now what he's seeing is that he's a bench player, and he right now is probably the most important bench player because Javon Carter, bro. That man aged 8 years in the offseason, bro. Like, he's moving out there like, bro, it's bad.
He got to be hurt, bro.
We're going to end up finding out that, like, he had, like, a bruised heel since, like, the second game of the season or something.
We're going to find out this man is missing 3 vertebrae in his spine since game 1, bro. Like, they signed him that way, bro, because have you seen him? Like, the thing that he was supposed to come in here and do is be aggressive on defense.
Yeah.
That was it. He was supposed to be
aggressive on the defense and at least hit the open 3-pointers. He's not even hitting the wide open 3-pointers anymore. It's like if somebody breathes on him, his equilibrium's off, bro. He's not making that 3-pointer.
Bro, he don't even take him, bro. He pump fake sidestep and then pass it.
Anyway, next up, we're going to be talking about Zach LaVine, who could possibly be returning to practice, according to Billy Donovan, as early as next week. But before we get into that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America, where easily the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you put more than or less than, or 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch earnings roll in. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide you with even more value. PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat, so we got word from Billy Donovan today that Zach LaVine could return to practice as early as next week. Now, we knew that he moved into the next step of his rehab. He was doing some running, doing some curved running. After that, they said he responded nicely to it. So now, let's be clear, returning to practice does not mean returning to games. It just means that you could start practicing, shoot around, things like that with the team. As we get forward towards about 10 days now is the high end of the time period that they reported that Zach LaVine could be out. So if we're looking at this if you return to practice this week, maybe or next week, I should say, then an early return to game time, maybe the week after that. Do you think that's a possibility for Zach LaVine? And
I think that's pretty much right on pace. I mean, we're talking about, he was supposed to come back around January 10th. I don't think that it's a surprise that he's going out there and rejoining in practice a couple of weeks before that. We'll probably see him slowly ramp up, start doing shoot around with guys, starting to do full scrimmages with guys and just working through some things with trainers. I don't think that it's a surprise to see him come back in that sense on that time frame. It's going to be very interesting to see the effect that has. I mean, you hate to say it, but the narrative is built and the proof is in the pudding. This team is competing a lot harder without him out there. Is that going to change at all? And I guess here's the question that maybe Bulls fans haven't thought about. Has Zach LaVine's opinion on this team changed to the point where he's willing to come back and adjust to what happens on the court? To me, I feel like the Zach LaVine that we had at the beginning of this season, the Zach LaVine that we've had the last couple of years, is not going to impact this team positively. But is that the Zach LaVine that we're going to see if he does suit up for the Chicago Bulls and come back on the court?
That's a great question. Here's the thing that I'm gonna put the onus back on Zach in just this sense, is that Zach has always said that he wants to win. The thing that he always says that no matter what he's on the court, what team he's on the court for, he wants to win. And to win, you have to realize you have to sacrifice. And the sacrifices may not be it's not really a sacrifice if you're just giving up what you want to give up. And so if Zach truly wants to win and sees the way that this team is playing, that means he's going to have to accept some sacrifices in his own game. That may mean not having the ball in his hands at times where he's used to. That may mean learning how to fit in with what this team is doing. And I know that it's in there in Zach. I mean, think about it. Any team that he reportedly would have went to, he would have been second or third fiddle at the most of most of these teams. So listen, you're here. I get it. You've been the guy here in Chicago, but you got to understand, and that's not to say that Zach still doesn't deserve tons of shots. He absolutely does. Like catch and shoot opportunities for Zach, honestly, in this type of offense that we've been running should be plentiful. Zach LaVine probably can take 4 less shots a game and average about the same, if not more than what he was, if he fits into what we try to do here. So hopefully he's ready to make that sacrifice, bro. Because I tell you what, it seems like teams aren't willing to sacrifice assets for you, so you need a sacrifice for this team.
And I think the interesting part about all of that is, right, what Zach LaVine is that? Because we have seen Zach LaVine take a back seat at times, right? And we've kind of just been like, okay, but like who's getting the shot at the end of the game? Is that, is that kind of where we are now, where, listen, Zach, you're not the fourth quarter guy. You're not the guy down the stretch. You're the guy that in the middle of the game can put up 30 points. You're the guy that can have the huge second quarter. You're the Klay Thompson, right? And every now and then you get to be the number one. Klay Thompson, Klay Thompson beat us on 12 dribbles. He put up
crazy.
What did he put up? 60? Was that 60?
I don't even remember.
I think that was a 60-point game. It was at least 50. And he did it on 12 dribbles. Guess what? Every now and then you get to be the Klay Thompson. But is he going to come back and take on that role? Is he going to come back and be okay taking on that role? Because I think that is the one thing that Zach has always said is, it doesn't matter how we get it. I just want to win. Let's see. And that's what it comes down to for me. Let's see, because you're in a situation that you're coming back to where you have an easier schedule and you have a Chicago Bulls team that has found a way to win without you. Can you come back into that and continue the winning ways, or do we see it completely fall off again?
That's it's a lot of questions. And like I said, that's why I say I put the onus back on Zach. That's not to say that the other players on the team also need to sacrifice, maybe give up some shots, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like, I just put it on Zach. Zach's going to have to figure it out. It comes back, and it's the best thing for everybody. At the end of the day, the trade value is as low as what we're hearing for Zach LaVine. We need him back on the court playing good and playing healthy. I still doubt how much time he really has left to up the trade value. If he comes back on the 10th, trade deadline's February 8th. That gives you 30 days. What's that? Roughly about 10 games, 10, 12 games to get your life together. I don't know if that's enough time.
And again, I ask, right, because remember, the reason that apparently the trade came in was because it felt like they were just running on a hamster wheel, right? We're running the same thing back. Nothing's changing. We're not competing in a better fashion. The team doesn't look better. So what are we doing here? I seriously wonder if that has changed his thought on the trade. Because now, again, Billy Donovan's still here. At the end of the day, Billy Donovan's still here. But maybe Zach respects it more because now he's like, well, apparently what Billy does works. Maybe I should listen to him. Like, I don't know. I'm just throwing scenarios out there because Dalen Terry has arrived. Is hilarious. I'm just throwing scenarios.
That's crazy. If this is a ride for Dalen Terry, that's not good. I don't know why people think that that's a good thing. If you think that this is a ride for Dalen Terry, that's not good at all. Somebody
said that in the YouTube comments for the podcast.
He did. It's like, that's not good at all. Like, Dalen not even Terry, remotely.
If Dalen Terry has arrived, that just means that he just texted you, I'm on my way, and he ain't got out of bed yet. That's what that means right there.
That's funny.
But I look at I'm looking at for Zach LaVine to say, okay, has anything changed on your mindset on wanting to be traded? Because the reason he wanted to be traded wasn't that he hated everybody in Chicago. It was that he just thought we was running it back and doing the same thing and spinning our wheels.
Yeah. I mean, I we'll see, man. At the end of the day, I wish I had the answers, because that really, it's so important. With whatever the answer ends up being to that is going to be so important for what we can do. And if Zach LaVine comes back locked in and maybe willing to change, realizes some things have changed, which thus can put him in a better situation like he wanted to be in, maybe he does buy in, man. But I can't say that until I see it. I'd have to see it, bro.
Before we get out of this segment, I got to ask you, if Zach LaVine does return to the court, who's
asking you questions. I don't like being asked questions.
You getting the questions. You can't handle the truth. No, but when Zach LaVine returns to the court, who's the player that's going to take somebody's going to lose shots. Somebody's going to take the L. Who's the player that takes the L?
Theoretically, I think it's going to be Kobe, unfortunately, but I hope Billy Donovan doesn't allow that. Honestly, I don't know, bro, because I would say DeMar, but then again, DeMar sacrificed already for this team. I don't know where those shots, who's giving up those shots, because to me, the way Kobe's playing, I know right now he hasn't been hitting threes, but I don't want to take the ball out of Kobe's hands. Like, I don't know, bro. That's a great question.
To me, it's just like the one thing you can't take away from Kobe is don't take away his control of the team.
Yeah.
If Billy Donovan lets the control of the team get taken away, over. Like that tells me all I need to know. Oh, you're not tough enough to fight back against the $250 million player. Okay, I see where it's at. It's so, being a Bulls fan is like so exciting and so stressful at the same time, because it's just like, what are we doing here? Where are we going? If we keep winning like this, we're heading toward the playoffs, but are we really? Hey, man, before we get into this final topic, where we got to talk about the effects of this OG Annunoby trade. Does this help the Chicago Bulls or hurt the Chicago Bulls? We got to tell you guys about FanDuel, man. Listen, I'm in a fantasy football championship right now, and I am trying to win this because there's a very nice trophy at the end, championship ring, all of that. But if you're not in a championship right now, if you are one of the losers, does that come off a little harsh? Don't worry about it. Right now, new customers can get a $150 bet, $150 in bonus bets with any $5 moneyline bet. So you can be a winner. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, Pat. Well, trade went down today. It is officially trade season. The New York Knicks acquired OG Annunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn in a deal that sends RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round pick to the Toronto Raptors. I like this trade for both sides. I like that fact that the Knicks get OG Annunoby. They send out RJ Barrett, who has been scoring a lot of points. Emmanuel Quickley, who we both have been fairly high on the potential of Emmanuel Quickley. It's an interesting trade, but I like it.
I thought the trade was really good. I thought that it benefited both sides. I love the Knicks fan who tweeted out, now RJ Barrett can go be mid in his own country. That's
next level. That's crazy.
I thought that was just hilarious to see that. But I thought that this was very beneficial for both sides, and I think it opens up a lot of things for the Knicks because there's a lot of money tied up in RJ Barrett that they probably did not want to pay to RJ Barrett after seeing kind of what that next step was for him, basically being the step that he had taken the year before. Bringing in OG Annunoby, I think it really does something really good for the Knicks. Precious Achiuwa is a player that probably gets a lot more tick on the Knicks because of the injury to
Mitchell Robinson.
Thank you very much. And I think on the flip side of all of that, right? Listen, we know who they're trying to get. You had to open up space. You had to open up some positioning. You couldn't bring in another point guard with Emmanuel Quickley there. They're going after Donovan Mitchell, guys. I've been saying this for 3 weeks now? Like, he's leaving Cleveland. Cleveland will fall out of the playoffs.
That's the thing. Like, what? I don't know what they would trade for him now.
It's the Knicks, bro. They're gonna trade whatever it takes. And here's the thing. I saw somebody that was like, well, they got to make contracts, or they're not gonna accept just picks. And I've said this with Zach LaVine as well. Like, you can't trade me just picks for $250 million. Like, Donovan Mitchell makes a lot of freaking money. They
Yeah, I
can't.
mean, they can't trade just
They
picks.
can't trade you just picks. So you're getting some kind of players back. They're probably not moving on from Brunson. I see a lot of people that were like, why would they get rid of him with Jalen Brunson? You're not getting rid of Jalen Brunson. You're probably getting rid of, I guess, maybe can you? No, they can't trade OG again.
No, so I mean, they have Evan Fournier's $18 million. Technically, have Julius Randle. I can't see them sending Julius Randle in a deal like that, though.
Well, they have been trying to get rid of Julius Randle for a minute.
True, but I just don't like. I don't see the. I
Let's
get what you're
get
saying.
vastly shorter.
I don't see it happening. I don't see the Knicks getting Donovan Mitchell.
Listen, whether they get him, and here's the thing. This is part about the Knicks that I love. It don't have to make sense. I love that this deal makes sense, but a deal for Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to make sense. Doesn't have to be logical either. Like, it's the Knicks. Come on, they're stupid. What are we talking about here? We've seen.
I mean, you got to give the Knicks credit. They actually have been making some pretty smart deals here over the last.
Hey,
few
listen.
years.
At the end of the day, their first move was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack. Like, come on, bro. Like, they ain't.
Then they also extended Miles McBride today for 3 years, $13 million as well.
That was a good extension. I thought that was a really good one
as well. I think that's a favorable extension too. So,
how does this affect the Zach LaVine trade as a whole?
Bro, I've gone over this. I have a video on this on my channel, and I'm still trying to think about how it affects it. Because here's the thing: the New York Knicks got no first round picks back in this, or the Toronto Raptors didn't either. Hell, the Toronto Raptors came into this saying that they wanted 3 first round picks back for OG Annunoby and walked away with none. But they did get 2 talented young players.
2 young players, yeah.
So if you're looking at keep in mind Zach LaVine's contract is it's almost double what OG Annunoby's is as well. Yeah. So I don't know if this helps or hurts the trade clause. The thing is, too, teams that were interested in OG reportedly: Sacramento Kings, Philadelphia 76ers, Los Angeles Lakers. That's all off the board now for them. Now, the Lakers are still trying to pivot to DeJounte Murray. We'll see what that happens. I just don't know what this does, because unless you're getting young players back that are proven, because RJ Barrett, for the most part, you know what he is at this point. Yeah. He still has some room to grow, but you know what he is. You've heard that the Bulls want win now pieces. So if they can get a player back the caliber of RJ Barrett, I think they do that. The biggest question is, can they? I don't know.
Is Zach better than OG?
It's better offense. I think they're about even, because OG's way better defensively, but Zach's better offensively.
But in an offensive league, offense is going to fetch you more.
I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore, bro. Like, let's look at the deal that they got for Rudy Gobert. That's basically nothing but defense.
That's all defense, yeah.
Yeah, that's all defense. I mean, you
but
got
that's
Donovan Mitchell
also,
trade that
like,
balances that out.
You also that's a deal for a defensive player of the year. What?
True, but even DeJounte got, and that's mainly defense. He's defense and offense, but he's mainly defense.
Putting up like 20 points a game out in San Antonio. He was hooping too. Yeah,
but that also was a team where there was nothing but shots for everybody. Like,
hey, it was him and Jakob Poeltl, bro. That was my guy. Funny. I would still love to get Jakob Poeltl out of there, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, to me, I think in an offensive league, you can get a little. I don't know about a first round pick. I don't. And I think teams are getting a lot more stingy with their first round picks, which is kind of interesting to see.
And the thing that I thought, too, is that with this draft being looked at as weaker, that they may be more teams willing to give up their first round picks.
Yeah.
But maybe they're playing that closer to the. Maybe they are. Maybe the Knicks or whoever are holding on to those for, like you said, maybe they're trying to go after Donovan Mitchell or something. But I just really didn't think teams would be as protected with first round picks with this draft, depending what level of talent they're getting back, because this is just projected to be a weak draft.
Are we going to see a 3-team trade here where Mitchell ends up in New York and the Bulls get involved with some pieces from Cleveland here? Remember, they were rumored to be in on Darius Garland. They weren't dipping their toe into Darius Garland, but they were rumored to be. You're not
gonna let an episode go by without making that dipping toe.
Listen, you've made a couple of. You brought it up multiple times, my guy. No, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I think that for the Bulls to get a Zach LaVine trade done, we're probably looking at a 3-team trade.
I think that was always kind of gearing up towards that anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's definitely a big possibility, especially if it does end up being the Lakers. I think it's definitely going to be a 3-team trade.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the Bulls end up doing, man. Good night for the Bulls, though. Getting back to winning ways. Love to see that. ton of trade news flying around. Whenever NBA trade news is just so exciting, bro. Like the NBA trade deadline, me and Haize just live all day on that. It's just like,
oh yeah. Last year I took it off work because it was just like I there's no way because I'm not going to get anything done.
You
I'm
got
just
to, bro. You
be
literally
back and
have
forth to the computer all day long. So.
I'm gonna just be. I mean, like it is what it is, what it is, man. But Bulls get the dub. Love to see that. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls.
Oh, stop. Gotta play the winning music.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I was gonna throw the name out there.
Okay.
Gonna let us get the names out. But hey, Haize said, play it now. Stop playing with them.
That's too much fun.
See red. LP sure. I respect it. Watch your toes.
JDA said you need to get a haircut. That is his haircut.
Not really. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You just went to the barber last Thursday. Why do I remember when the last time you went to the barber?
Was it last Thursday? No, it was Thursday before last.
It was last Thursday.
No, you're right. It was before Christmas. Oh, no. You know why? Shout out to my barber. I didn't go get a haircut this week because he just had surgery because he tore his...
I remember that.
He tore his bicep. So he should be back into your dig next week. But no, I do respect the LP Shore name. That was pretty funny. I give you that.
Let's get out of here, Pat.
Hey, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago.
You can follow me at CEO Haize, the CEO, Haize. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and we out here. Peace, y'all.
Peace. I basically get any light-skinned dude with hair ever. Yeah, that's who I am. I was Chris Brown for a while. I'm glad I dropped that one with all the stuff that he is.